Hello, just jumping into Unity for a quick video demonstration of a script that I have implemented into my game. The new script that I have added, the function of it is to close the gap within an array if there is a large portion, or any size portion really, of nullified objects. So if in the array it was a game object, and then the next three indexes were null, and the one after that was a game object, the objective is to take that last game object and shift it to the first null section in that space, effectively removing the gap. So the reason I need this in my game is because I am implementing enemies, and what I want for damage to my character is, with the long string of the bugs, I want if one of the characters in the middle is impacted by some kind of damage, it is ejected from the array, it is ejected from the larger array of characters. And when it is ejected, I want it to place a pickupable object right there, so that the main player can turn back around and recollect those elements of the array. Kind of like how if Sonic were hit in Sonic the Hedgehog, the rings he has collected are ejected from his inventory, and then you have to go back and collect them. But in this particular game, these are actual elements of the character in this long chain that are reincorporated. So if we just jump into the game, and I have only the segments selected for the demonstration, so everything is in black and white except for the segments. If I just slow down, I'm going to add a few more segments into the array. Let's just get a nice even 10, so 0 through 9. If I come in here and I select some of these segments, let's select 1, 5, or 1 through 5, and 8, and let's just delete those. What happens is the array closes up those gaps, like I stated before. So instead of keeping the space between those objects, the next available non-null object in the array shifts itself to the closest to 0 index that is not null. So as you can see in the hierarchy, I have now 0, 1, 6, 7, and 9. But in the actual index of those, where is it? For segments, oh, it's on here. If I go to the actual index of body segments, it's 0, 1, 6, 7, and 9, whereas it would normally count all the way there. It has these missing game objects, or these unassigned ones. So when it runs those loops, it is not accounting for these missing objects, and it's not trying to find objects after that. So let's just go into the code and see what I did for that. Should be labeled. Here we go, close gap. So I'm basically running a for loop for the amount of body segments that are actually in the array, not the max amount that could exist, but the amount that are actually in there. And if one of the elements is not null, but the element immediately after that, it says -1 because it's okay, so it's finding objects that are free floating in the array pretty much. So if they're not touching any other non-null objects, if their object isn't touching another object, if there's no space between them, it is selecting them, and then is running a for loop through the elements of the array again, but it is running it from it's a nested loop, so it is running it, I can run it from I down, So I'll subtract it until it reaches -0. So let's say it was element 5. I am running it from element 5 down to element 0. So it is checking down through from 5 to 0 and is finding any elements between that and the next viable game object, and every time it finds a null space in that array, it is adding to a integer labeled gap. And as soon as it does not find something that is null, as soon as it finds a viable game object, it takes that area and it finds it by subtracting the index it's currently on minus that gap that is being created right there, and it sets it to that object, and then it nullifies that object. So it's effectively shifting it. And then that gap is reset for the next time it calculates the right here in the greater for loop, next time it calculates the what it needs to for each loop, I suppose. And I actually proud to say that I didn't look up any tutorials for this part. I didn't look anywhere on the internet for help. Not that there's any problem with that, but I'm a little proud of just figuring it out for myself. So there you go. Just jump back in the game and demonstrate it again. First I'll search segments because it's instantiating those waypoints and segments, so it's impossible to find them otherwise. Here they are, and if I just make a ridiculous amount, and I will go from segment 2 all the way to segment 70. All the segments are selected, and I delete those. The integrity of the chain is still there. It is not destroyed, so it goes from segment 0, 1, 71, 72, 73. So the segments are destroyed, but the function that makes these elements connect to each other is still running. So it's very good. So that's all I have to show for today. If you don't follow me on Twitter, please go and follow me at cyberbully20xxd. That's my developer Twitter page. You can find my personal Twitter if you want. It's the same thing, but without the D at the end. And if you aren't subscribed, subscribe. I'll be posting more Unity videos in the future, as well as maybe some wacky game videos when I play with my friends. So, thank you. Thank you for watching.